wabarakatuh. Hi everyone, I'm Nuralfiani Arif, and on this video I will deliver a speech entitled A Climate Solution, the wisdom passed down through generation, and with native speaker by LUOISE MABULO. When I was a little girl, my parents would take me outside and show me all the incredible ways that they would take care of our land to produce good food. And I would begrudgingly follow them out and listen to the stories that they had to say. And their pieces of advice would range from totally rational and practical to absolutely bizarre. For example, my grandfather would say, "Hey Luis, if you want to plant good root crops this season, what you should do is plant some rocks underneath in your sweet potatoes." And I would look at him and be like, "Okay, Grandpa, sure, I totally believe you." And my grandmother would say, "To have the best harvest of fruits from the fruits bearing trees this season, you want to be able to plant according to the lunar cycle. You want to plant toward the full moon and never towards a new moon." And I would look at her and say, "What?" And my dad, most bizarrely of all, would say, "If you want to save rice or cocoa nibs to get rid of all the dust, the best thing that you can do is to whistle a certain tone to harness the wind." And I'd be like, "Dad, like you're bending?" Okay, sure. So as I grew up, I would ask them, why? Why do we do all these weird, strange things, right? And my relative and my families would come up to me and be like, "Luis, here's the thing. Your grandparents are kind of crazy, so this is just tradition. You don't have to think about it. It's fine." But my work has put me at front lines to the climate crisis, working with communities and farmers to build resilient agroforests that really react best to the intense super typhoons that we experience. I established an initiative called the Cacao Project, which worked to build these resilient agroforests and work closely with farmers to understand how we could best steward our ecosystem and landscapes. Over the years, I've been able to really my best dream job, which is make chocolates for restoration. I have the best job, I know. I get to eat chocolate, talk to farmers, live on the land, and have such a good life. And we look at the ways that we can marry practical, traditional knowledge, technique, and modern science, and now how we could really put a spotlight on those simple and practical solutions that react effectively to climate change. Now, over the years, I've trained with farmers, and we make sure that learning is a two-way street where we listen to the stories that they have to say, but also be able to teach them regeneration. So, very simple concept like putting more carbon back in the soil than we take from it, or maybe planting the crops that are suited to our ecosystem and our landscape, and even propagating the life that strengthens our forests and our trees. And as I was talking these farmers, these crazy stories started resurfacing, and I said, "Okay, hang on, maybe they're onto something here." So together with our farmers, we started kind of trying it out. Okay, let's plant some rocks here and see what happens. And okay, let's plant according to the lunar cycle. And for some reason, every single time we would do that, it would work. When we plant crops under sweet potatoes, they were better, sweeter, just more delicious. Every time we planted according to the lunar cycle, we'd have delicious harvest. And I thought maybe, what if all of these weird stories are just kind of decade of peer review that has passed down from grandmother to grandson, from father to daughter, in the ways that the best knew how. And maybe grandma wasn't so crazy after all. So I quickly learned the lunar cycle were actually to insert flight activity and reproduction to made better pollinators, so more fruits. And it was irrigation and weather patterns, and I thought, wow, that is so cool. So my grandmother had a point. I digress. It turns out planting rocks under root crops. It meant that you were just making better drainage, but also it was creating this inviting ecosystem for and for worms and little creatures to live under, and they were just natural fertilizer. So I saw Brandon was right. And whistling for wind. Well, I wish I could give you a scientific explanation. I have no idea how that works, but every time I ask my dad, can you bring me out to a field and whistle? A light breeze could always seem to blow, and it was magic. I was like, what is this sorcery? So what if all of these invisible pieces knowledge are actually keys how we can best curate our stewardship to our landscape, how we could best create resilience in our ecosystem and forest to react better to climate change. And all of this knowledge exist in our countries and communities and tradition and stories within our families. And as a young person who work in the environmental field, I think it's so cool to have the kind of responsibility to carry this knowledge on to the next generation, to transfer this information over into our modern age and be able to articulate why they work. Because maybe the solution to our climate crisis, maybe the next big fix all isn't just this one big, amazing, sprawling solution. Maybe it exists in the soil under our feet. Maybe uh, it's and it's in the winds that blows in the air, or the sunlight that beats down on us. Or maybe it exists in the crazy word stories of our grandmothers. And it is such an honor to think that maybe these amazing solutions are actually an opportunity for us to build something that embodies the wisdom our communities, our families, and our landscape over years and generation. And as a young person carrying that on, I think, wow, we have some exciting magic in our planet to offer. And hopefully we can harness that power and all these sorcery and secret bits of knowledge to do something really great within different parts of the world that curates our stewardship to our planet. With that, thank you.